welcome to another student interview. We have them popping out left, right, and center. This one is absolutely wild. This one is with our student, Blake. Blake is only 21 years old, printing $100,000 a month with OF. Absolutely incredible story. I hope you guys enjoy. As always, I'll leave Blake's details down below. Feel free to check out his agency or his socials. And without any further ado, I hope you enjoy the interview. The same as everybody else, Blake. First of all, everybody that's watching, I'm sure they're probably curious about who you are, a bit of a background. So feel free to introduce yourself, bro.
Yeah, so my name is Blake. I've been in the OF game for just under a year now. I say roughly more around 9 months. My most successful, I guess you could say, model or prodigy with an OF model was just recently got with a model back in April, and we took her in 4 months all the way from 0 to 100K in total revenue. And I've done some multiple 10K months with other girls here and there in the past. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as OF goes history. I've also came from a background. I've done e-commerce. I've done copywriting. What else? E-commerce drop shipping. I've done day trading. I've done pretty much anything you can think of in terms of the hustle game. And OF is something always that kind of you come back to because it's not hard to make a lot of money in it once you figure out how to do it.
And how would you compare it to other business models? Because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people watching this that have either tried SMA, dropshipping, etc., or they're thinking of trying it. From your point of view, bro, what are kind of the differences and the good and the bad?
Well, to be completely honest, no matter what you choose to do in terms of the hustle game, whether you do e-commerce, dropshipping, OF, day trading, whatever, you're gonna fail in the beginning. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. Even at OF, I failed in the beginning. But with OF, it's a lot easier to bounce back with. Mm-hmm. For example, when I did e-commerce, I think my first month I lost a total of like $1,000. To bounce back from that was a lot harder than it was when I failed the first time with OF. The first time I failed with OF, I think the total I made was $100. That's failing. It's making money in OF. You're failing in OF as you're gonna make money still. And with that, I was able, and I was also learning while I lost that money. So I was able to put it back into it and ultimately, scale it up to what I got it to now. But with e-commerce and stuff like that, you have to have the money to bounce back from it. With OF, you don't. You can go find a model for free. You can get free traffic. You can do everything by yourself, which I actually did myself in the beginning. I chatted with a business partner that I used to work with as well. Me and him, we chatted 18 hours a day, did all the marketing ourselves. So you can do everything with OF for free. So that's the kind of the biggest benefit to it versus anything else, is that you don't have to worry about having a back end capital. You can just jump right into it at any point in time.
Yeah. It's that instant cash flow, right? Because like you said it yourself, bro, the worst case scenario, you failing, is you make a little bit of cash, but you don't make tens of thousands. Whereas, I think anything such as any sort of trading, crypto, or perhaps drop shipping, e-commerce, there is that sense of you do still have to pay up front, and you're risking your capital. Like I've said this before, by the way, if anyone is watching this and you have maybe 20,000 that you can burn, like $20,000 that you genuinely don't care about, like if you lose it, that's fine. Probably e-commerce and dropshipping, you might have a faster, bigger ROI. If you do it the right way. Again, you could just lose it all, but I feel like you could potentially get a faster ROI. But I think most people watching this, in general, they don't have a spare 20,000 just laying around ready to invest, right? So I know, I agree. I think I always push people to do a service-based business first. If you're dead broke and you just have some time in your hands, just start a business where you're providing a service, because the only thing you're risking is your time. You're not really risking any capital up front. So that's great. Now, again, for viewers and myself, by the way, because I still don't know as well, Blake, let's take it to kind of day one, right? So how did you even find out about OFM, and what made you want to actually pursue this business model?
Okay, so back to speaking about what I just briefly mentioned, I had a business partner that I used to work with not too long ago. It was actually when we kind of went and did our, just separate agencies. No bad blood, just want to add that. But about 9 months ago, I had seen him in the gym. We went to the same high school, grew up together kind of thing. And that, those age ranges. So I saw him in the gym one day and I just asked him what he was doing, in terms of, how things are going in life. And he told me he was doing OFM for work. I had no idea what the hell that meant. Now at the time I'm actually doing e-commerce. So I'm actually in the process of trying to build an e-commerce store while he's telling me about, this OFM, whatever the hell that is. And, so me and him, we went to dinner one night and I asked him more about it. I was like, so what is it exactly you do? You manage OF girls? He was like, yeah. So basically what we do, we take a girl, that does OF, we say, hey, listen, you're doing this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. I can do it better for you and also make you more money. And then he was like, we do all the chatting, we talk to the fans, we tell her what content to make, and we make a bunch of money. And I asked him that night, I was like, just give me a number. What have you roughly made since you started? He goes, since I started, probably anywhere between 30, 40K profit. And at that moment, I about shit my pants. Because I had never even, where we come from, this town we're from, it's not one of those towns where you have those kind of prodigies that make it out of, nothing and start making a bunch of money at a young age, dropping out of college kind of deal. That's not the kind of place where we're from. So me hearing that, I was like, how? That doesn't make any sense to me. So that night, I got home, checked on my e-commerce store, not shit was happening. I got pissed, and that night I actually started an OnlyFans agency. I created a logo, didn't have a website, created an agency like Instagram, and then I managed Instagram as well that very night. And then the next day I texted him and I said, hey, how do I get a model? Because I had no idea how to get a model, so I was just bullshit texting people on Instagram. And then he actually had a friend who did, what he did was he would recruit models. So he got me in touch with him, got a model, and this was when, I made the first $100. That was it for like a month or so of work. Made $100. But in the beginning, I didn't really know how to do anything because I didn't have any courses to watch. I didn't buy anything. It was more so just my buddy teaching me. And so after I failed with that first model, he helped me out with getting the second model, which was actually one of his model's sisters. Worked with her, and she pretty much just ghosted me. She didn't do any work. She didn't try, so we didn't make any money with her. And then, long story short, after that failure, I kind of just started working with him. I said, hey, I know how to market, because I came from a background of just doing social media stuff, marketing, and he was like, yeah, you can help me out with that. So I started helping out with that, and then it eventually just broke into a 50-50 partnership. And then from there, we had 3 models that we were managing. One of them was doing about 10K a month. The other 2 were doing probably about 5, 6. But the problem was we just couldn't get any of them to work. So eventually we got rid of them all. And I had actually gotten contacted back from a model that I had texted probably a month before she texted me back on Instagram about working. And so we got her set up. And this was actually the model that we started with back in April, and it was April 17th, so actually just about 4 or 5 months ago, if I'm not mistaken. And we took her from literally $0 all the way up to 97K at the beginning of August. So, and then closing August, we had hit 100K total revenue. So that's the biggest success story that me and him have both had within the industry. But looking to take other models higher than that. I want to get to the 100K a month point.
This is great stuff. And I'm just curious, so what was the big difference, without obviously going into the practicals and all the systems and exactly what tools and softwares you guys used, but what would you say were kind of the biggest differences from when you first started and you made a couple $100 to now where you're making literally 6 figures a month?
Number one thing is I think it honestly have to be the chatting would have to be probably the biggest turning point. Because we also switched marketing strategies as well, which was a big game changer too. But I honestly think that if we hadn't perfected our chatting in terms of talking to the customer, selling the content, we probably would not have made the revenue we have. Me and my buddy, we spent probably, I would say in total time, probably a whole week tops on perfecting this script, to the point to where you can literally copy and paste the whole thing and it'll fit any conversation in terms of just one script. So that was the biggest turning point. Um, so, really knowing how to build that personal connection with one of the subscribers is definitely the biggest aspect into learning OF or making money in OF. Because no matter if you get your fans from Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, shout out for shout outs, guarantee gains, if you don't get a personal connection with them, they're not going to buy anything from you because they're all going to have the familiar sense of subscribing to an OnlyFans girl. Of they're just going to spam you with promotions. They're going to spam you with math messages. They all have that what do you call it? That PTSD, or you can say, for OnlyFans. So when you have a chatting system where you dive super deep into like what they like to do, where they're from, and stuff like that, it opens up the door for a lot of revenue to be made.
Yeah. And long term as well, lifetime LTV. I think a lot of people, especially people perhaps watching this who are running an agency, I think a lot of people have the wrong understanding where they think that the idea is to just try and burn as many fans into the account, try and make some cash, and then just don't talk to them ever again, or just mass send them PPVs. But that's not quite the way. You want to build connections, exactly like you were saying, bro. Matter of fact, literally earlier today, I don't know if this video will be before or after this interview, but I done an interview one of our recent models we've just taken on. Before she came on board, she was averaging about $400 a day. Within 48 hours of her joining our agency, she's now doing just over $6,000. In terms of traffic, pretty much the same. So far, pretty much the same. The only real massive difference within 48 hours was just the chatting. And she said it herself, which was, look, you guys actually build a connection with them. Like, you guys actually talk to them. You guys actually get them to spend more long term, right? Rather than her previous agency just sending out mass pay-per-views, always just trying to sell shit. It just doesn't work. So yeah, I'm glad you said that. And it's interesting as well, again, for everybody watching this, I'm sure, Blake, by now you probably realize this, but for everybody watching perhaps as well, if you're brand new to OFM, there really are three core pillars in terms of what makes a success in OFM and what doesn't. One is the client, so the model that you're working with. Is he or she constantly there for communication and content? The second one is the marketing. So where is the traffic coming from, and is it consistent, and is it affordable? And then the third one is the back end, which is obviously the conversions and the chatting, right? So where are the upsells? How often do you speak to them? How many hours is the account covered, and so on. So by the sounds of it, you got the first one, check. So you got the model, who's, I'm assuming, is providing the content. The traffic's fantastic. That's the second one. And the third one, you guys fixed the chatting. So that makes sense. That's fantastic. And you helped her go from like $100, or like pretty much zero, to six figures in how short amount of time? How long did that take you guys?
Well, we started April 17th with her, and then it was all the way up to about a week ago when she hit that. So just under 4 months, I think. Under 4 or 5 months. Yeah. So
very good stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of a surreal thing to like. It hasn't hit me yet. Like that thing, that moment of, holy shit, you just, you're a 21-year-old dropout from college that just made $100,000 in under 4 months. That hasn't hit me yet. So I'm still kind of underwhelmed by it, but I'm slowly building up on it.
Trust me, bro. I didn't never had this either. I mean, for me, I don't know how much you know about my background, but I didn't start with OFM. I started with SMA, a social media marketing agency, right? But for me, it was like the 10K a month thing, which was like my thing that I'd always used to idolize. Like, oh, one day, like if I just keep working hard, I'll be making 10K a month. What I thought before I hit it, what I thought was like, once I see this big number in my like P&L or like in my bank account, like that's when I'll have that achievement. It doesn't really work like that. It's just all of a sudden you go from maybe making, like 4 figures to multiple 5 figures, and you're like, oh, that was it. All right, cool. Let's just make some more. Just pretty cool.
Yeah, I never had a first 10K a month moment either, because with this model, it went from 1,000 the first month, 7,000 the second month, and then the third month was 23,000. So I didn't even get the first 10K feeling. It went straight from 7 to 23.
And it happens like that. Yeah, it happens like that. And again, I think perhaps a lot of people watching this, they might think, well, Blake just got lucky. Blake this, Blake that, overnight success, etc. But I think what a lot of, like, I heard this and I'm understanding it because I've been in the same shoes as you, but perhaps somebody who's watching this who hasn't ever tried any sort of business, they might think that, oh yeah, it was quick, easy, it was overnight. But I think perhaps if people just rewind and listen to you tell your story again, you did say you've been in this online money space for quite some time, trying to hustle and trying through different business models. And without you realizing it, you've learned a lot of fucking skills throughout that. And then they all compound. And then all of a sudden it's the right place at the right time, the right business model, OFM and it just all skyrockets. So all the power to you, bro. You've absolutely smashed it.
Appreciate it. Yeah, and I also want to use that just kind of as a transition as into why, like, I think being a part of some kind of group in just any field of the hustle game, whether it's with OFM or whether it's with an e-com, or like being in some kind of public group or mentorship, even just where you have that community as well, is a big aspect of it too. Because to be 100% honest with you, like I've been through NOFM for 9-10 months now, but I never really had the constant confidence of what I was doing was correct until actually joining Aurora in the inner circle, like getting into y'all's group, having this kind of like that back end, like, yeah, this is definitely doing, you're doing something good here. That was probably the biggest push forward for me because, I had that one girl doing the 100K revenue. But since getting with y'all, I've gotten another girl. She just got up to, this first week, she's up to, I think she's at, or this last week. This last week, just started with her. She's already at 4K. So, and that was strictly off of just stuff I, talked about with other guys inside the community and also on calls with Harry. But, so, that's one thing I didn't have in the beginning. And so having that, is another big. It takes a big learning step off of you. Like if I would have had something like this in the beginning, I probably wouldn't have had to go through as much BS as I went through. I probably wouldn't have to spend as much money as I had spent. I probably because people hear the 100K revenue, that number I didn't really take in full percentage because there's a lot of spending that goes into the learning and a lot of trial and error you got to cover up with as well. So probably if I could go back and do it all over again, definitely would look into finding some kind of group of people, whether I spend money to get into it or not, that is trusting enough to actually invest into it and become part of that and learn from that. Because I mean, when you and I first got on the call, I told you I was helping some guy out inside the inner circle with a question he had. That's I'm trying to help him, not make the same mistake I made, which was learning the hard way. So that's definitely a big key aspect of doing OFM, in my opinion, is definitely be some part of some kind of group where you can get help 24/7.
Completely agree. The analogy or like the example I've given before online is like, imagine you're starting, it doesn't matter what business model. Let's just use OFM, obviously, in this case, right? But this goes for any business, even brick and mortar, if you want to fucking start an ice cream shop. But let's just say you're starting a business. You personally only have so many hours in a day, and there's only so many things that you can test and trial out every day, right? But let's just say there's only 5 things you can test per day, and only one of them perhaps works every now and then, right? And that's just you by yourself. Now imagine you have 10 buddies who are also trying out 5 different things every single day. Now imagine there's 700 of you guys all around the world doing that every day, and that's the community, right? And I think that's why everybody in there is just always getting the best results, because we're always sharing different things that work, different things that don't work. If anything, that those sometimes are more important because again, it's just saves so much time from everybody. And the fact that, there's always Jack in there as well, Harry, myself in the community. So yeah, I think I hear this very, very often that the community is a huge player in terms of fast tracking your success. I think it just speeds up the process. I think as well, Blake, for a lot of people watching this as well, perhaps they might think, all right, OFM sounds like a great business model. Blake got great results. Okay, this sounds great. And this coaching thing that he's a part of with Marcus sounds interesting. What is it? How does it work? Is it worth it? So for your own sake, Blake, or from your own point of view, what was the kind of journey like? I mean, also, when abouts did you join? And what are kind of some takeaways?
I joined Aurora last Thursday. But not last Thursday, 2 Thursdays ago, 2 weeks ago. But yeah, I mainly joined just because of the community aspect. Because like, I have pretty much learned a vast majority of the stuff that was taught in coaching, obviously, and I was briefed on that when I got on the initial call, of course. But I joined because of the community, because I needed. I'm the kind of person that, if even though if I know it's going to work, I still have to have that kind of, this will work, kind of that second, that second voice telling me, go for it kind of deal. Yeah. So that's kind of the main reason why I joined it. And so far it's been pretty good. Me and Jack, we talk pretty frequently about stuff. I'm on every single weekly call with Harry. He's helped me out a good bit. He's actually, gave me, helped me out a pretty good bit with TikTok. Just started that model I just signed on TikTok, and she, like first day she did like 500 followers or something like that, which was, I honestly didn't think that was, that's how that worked. But yeah, he helped me out with that. And so, I mean, there also has been some stuff like I watched a few of the course videos with the chatting, and even some on the model outreach, and there were some things in there that I didn't even take into consideration myself in the beginning. So there's still stuff in the courses that I myself don't even know, and I've been in this almost a year now. So I definitely think that in terms of if whoever's watching, if you guys want to get into OFM and you are trying to find a course or mentorship, whatever you want to call it, to invest into, that you can trust is not going to bullshit you, I would definitely go with what Marcus has to offer. I wouldn't just settle for the courses though. I would go ahead and just spend the extra money and get into the inner circle as well, where you have the full access to chat with myself, Harry, Jack, and everybody else that's in there. Because number one, myself, I'm always in there helping people. I mean, my DMs right now with guys from inside the inner circle, there's 10 of them that I have unread messages from. Jack helps out a good bit too, and also we're just we're not assholes, so we're we'll joke around in the group sometimes. Like, I mean, me and Jack got an ongoing bet right now. First one to get a luxury car, loser has to wash it. It's kind of a big group of just dudes pimping out girls and making money. That's pretty much all it is. It's like it's that sports bar down the road from your house that you get right here at your desk. So it's a great thing to be a part of, but mainly for that help aspect, because like I said, I know anybody needs questions, I always answer them. Like, I don't hold back on helping people out either. I don't really have anything to hold back. The information I know is out there to find. So I might as well just give it to you if you're part of the same group I'm part of. I've given most people some of my top guaranteed gains girls. I've helped people out with scripts. I've helped people out with content lists for their models. So it's and that's all that stuff's in the general chat. So even people that join after, if somebody joins after this, watching this video, you can go into the general chat and see the stuff that I've sent. So you'll have some pretty valuable stuff in that general chat right there, just from what I've sent you. Not even including all the other stuff that's been talked about in there, and the stuff that's in the other channels as well with inside the private group. So
there's a lot.
I definitely recommend getting into the private group.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for the feedback as well, Blake. I appreciate it. I think also the thing about a community is that it's always up to date, like literally every day, right? There's conversations, new topics, new questions, new problems being solved every single day. Whereas perhaps like an online course that might have been recorded who knows how many months, if not years ago, it might be outdated. So I'm the same as you. I think there's always so much fucking value in communities and actually connecting with people and speaking to them. And then I appreciate what you said as well, where you actually answer some questions as well. And I know you're not the only one, Blake. The amount of people that I jump on these interviews with, they're like, yeah, like I just help people out here and there. And that's also, I think also just one quickly wanted to mention, because I think sometimes people are like, oh, well, why do you charge more for the community, etc.? Look, the biggest thing is the fact that it disqualifies a lot of people. I think if somebody invests a decent amount of capital of their own money, hard-earned cash into it, they're going to be quite serious. So we don't want to have that community of 10,000 people, because if we wanted to sell it for like $100, $200, we could. But we don't want to, because then it just ruins the community and then it doesn't work. There's no point. So it kind of disqualifies certain amount of people that just aren't serious about it in the first place. Which then leaves only agency owners who are genuinely dedicated to building their agency, learning from each other, and actually networking and helping each other out. So I think that's why we constantly hear this feedback about the community being a great value source. Cool, Blake. Thank you very much, bro. Before we wrap it up, because I'm personally very, very curious, what are the next steps for yourself in both? Actually, I was just going to ask in terms of agency, but I'm actually more so curious about yourself personally, because now I think you said yourself, this is the first time you're hitting these sorts of numbers. So what do you have in mind, if you don't mind sharing, kind of plans in terms of the agency and personal life?
I mean, agency, I want to, in hopes that OnlyFans doesn't do one of those big scares like they did 2 years ago, threatening to, stop explicit content. I hope that I can take this to the moon, because if I can make $100,000 in 4 months, who knows what I can make in 4 years? I mean, fuck, that's a lot of money. If I made $100,000 every 4 months for the next 4 years, that's a lot of money. But mainly, for the time being, just plan on growing the agency to a certain point to where it's pretty much fully automated, paying for itself. All the important stuff, and then also making a decent amount of revenue off of it myself, and then taking that and investing into other businesses. The entrepreneur hustle lifestyle is a non-stop lifestyle. If you guys watching this think you're going to get into this and settle for $100,000 a month, I'm going to highly suggest you recheck your calendar, because you're going to be going for, once you hit 10, you're going to go for 20, and it's just going to carry on, and then you're not going to stop. And that's the other thing too. If you guys are thinking about getting into this and you don't have the dedication to put in 18 hours a day, 100 hours a week kind of deal, don't do it, because you have to put in the work. There's a lot of guys that I have met through my years of doing this OF that have asked me questions, and I can tell when they're serious and when they're not, because the questions they'll ask me is something you can literally Google or find it on YouTube. So that shows me that they're not doing the work, and that shows me they're never going to make it. So you got to do the work, number one. But in terms of me, just growing it as far as I can get it to, and hopefully beating Jack in that luxury car competition, because I really don't want to have to fly to the UK to watch his Aston Martin.
That would be brilliant. I'm actually planning on flying out to the UK next month to go see him. So hopefully he doesn't have a supercar by then, or hopefully he does, to be honest. But
if he does, I may be there and I may see you. I may be
yeah. We'll see both of you guys. Cool, guys. For the YouTube video, thank you very much for watching. Me and Blake are going to stay on for the rest of the call and have a private conversation now. But for everybody watching, thank you very much, Blake. I'll leave all your socials down below. So perhaps any models that are watching this, definitely reach out to Blake. The results speak for themselves. He's an absolutely incredible guy. So I'll leave all of Blake's links down below. And if you're watching this and you're potentially looking to start your own agency or wanting to scale it and you want to be in Blake's shoes, go ahead and as well check out the links below, and perhaps jump on a call with us and we can maybe get you into our coaching program. Cool. Other than that, thank you very much, guys. And I'll see you guys on the next one.